Auburn Dynamo point guard Sharife Cooper made waves during his freshman season as he put on a clinic on how to run the point guard position. Cooper missed the early part of the college season with eligibility issues, but once cleared, he immediately made an impact for the Auburn Tigers, kick-starting their offense. With the success of point guards like Ja Morant, Trae Young, LaMelo Ball, and even the MVP caliber season of the point god himself, Chris Paul, we've seen a renaissance in how an elite playmaking point guard can transform a team's offense. And the dynamic Cooper looks to follow suit as the 2021 NBA Draft's premier playmaker. But concerns with Cooper's height and jumper have perplexed draft aficionados into figuring out exactly how to rank Cooper and how his game may translate at the next level. Welcome to Film Sesh, an NBA draft deep dive by Tulaba, highlighting how a prospect might make an impact when they step onto an NBA floor. The first thing that you need to know about Sharife Cooper is that he is an elite playmaker, and super duper elite at that. Cooper boasted an assist percentage of 51.9% during his freshman run, meaning that while Cooper was on the floor, he assisted on 51.9% of his team's buckets. Compare that to other primetime playmakers like Trae Young, who had an assist percentage of 48.6% as a freshman, or Ja Morant, who had a 51.8% assist percentage during his sophomore campaign. And you can see the kind of company he was in when it comes to passing the rock. Oh, and by the way, Sharife also had the lowest turnover percentage of that group. The kid drops dimes. He just has such a natural feel and touch. His lobs look like he's throwing the floater pitch from the movie Rookie of the Year. Sharife does such a good job getting into the paint and causing the defense to collapse that not only does he create straight-up assist opportunities, but he's also getting those hockey assists off the next pass. Cooper is a magician who throws absolute dimes with either hand. He has that otherworldly ability to make those improvisational reads that manifest themselves at a moment's notice. In other words, he has the rare ability to turn nothing into something. And Sharife will enter the draft with an elite handle, a handle that allows him to beat you in isolation situations. Add on a lightning-quick first step, and Cooper gets to pretty much any spot on the floor that he wants, irregardless of the fact that he was a, not-so-effective shooter this season. The extra spacing an NBA court will provide Cooper, along with the fact that he'll play with much better shooters than he played with at Auburn, should allow Sharife to continue to thrive getting in the hoop and making plays. But what I really love about Sharife as a playmaker is his ability to run offense off ball screens. Cooper plays with such great pace and doesn't allow himself to get sped up. Watch all the crafty things he does on this possession. He comes off the first screen and quickly gets the rescreen to make sure the defender gets hit with a good screen. He then gets out in front and snakes the screen so that the big has to move away from the rim and the weak side help has to slide into the paint. Cooper then fires a bullet to the weak side shooter lifting from the corner. That is an NBA level possession. Now, I mentioned Cooper's lob game earlier, but this is straight stupid. Auburn's up 2 with $1:30 to go in the game, and he has the balls to throw this live dribble lefty alley-oop. Just plays perfectly to meet the roller at the rim. This is one of my favorite passes of the entire draft season. The use of the left is a common occurrence for the ambidextrous Cooper. This time Sharife is on the move with the big showing hard, and he perfectly places a wraparound lefty bounce pass right to the roller. How about another lefty look to the corner? Sharife gets downhill off the screen, forcing the defense to collapse, and rockets the ball to the corner shooter. Sharife's vision is straight up elite, and he's consistently making those weak side reads that most young point guards can't yet make. Cooper again gets into the paint. He sees how deep the weak side corner defender is under the hoop and how high and out of position the weak side wing is, and knows they won't be able to rotate in time, and just drops an absolute dime over multiple defenders directly into his shooter's shooting pocket. When you see possessions like this, you wonder how he even averaged over 8 assists a game. It really should have been more. Now, can we please get Cooper to a team with a monster rim roller? Because I can get used to watching him throw oops all freaking day. Even with a height disadvantage, Cooper doesn't get sped up when pressured. Here he just calmly backs up to give himself some space and fires a perfect pass into the paint. He's got such a high IQ, and he processes the defense's positioning so quickly that he's always able to take advantage and find open teammates when defenses have to scramble. This kid is going to be on House of Highlights a lot. Cooper is always looking to push the pace, and he's an absolute wizard in transition. I mean, this kid is freaking fun to watch. It isn't often someone can catch Davion Mitchell like this. Sharife is always looking to run, but he isn't wild and out of control when leading the break. He's always got his head up looking for his best passing option. He's just so crafty and uses little hesitations, change of pace, and ball fakes to bend defenders to his every will. And he so confidently fits passes into tight spaces. I mean, just a joy. But what opens up some of the passing lanes in transition is that Cooper is a major threat to take the ball all the way to the hoop himself. Sharife is like a bullet shot out of a gun in the open court, and he is so good at playing at different speeds to get to little openings in the paint. And as slithery as he can be, he's also fearless going into a defender's body and drawing fouls, and not just in transition. Sharife has that Iverson, Isaiah Thomas toughness in the half court as well. He's so good at playing angles and using his shifty handle and crafty mind to beat defenders to the spot. There's no way around it. Sharife was an elite foul drawer. Sharife finished with a free throw rate of 56% and got to the line nearly 9 times a game, which puts him in some pretty elite company. We're talking James Harden, Allen Iverson, Zion Williamson type company. And for a guy who struggles as a jump shooter, this ability to get free cheese at the line is imperative because the shooting concerns are real. Cooper was a sub 40% guy from the field, and he shot a brutal 23% from behind the arc. NBA defenders will sag off of him and just play him for the drive. You could have the shiftiest handle and the best space creation ability in the world, but if you can't put the biscuit in the basket, it's just a $1 million move and a 10-cent finish. Cooper has a long way to go before he's a viable off-the-bounce shooter, so where Cooper should be better early on is in catch-and-shoot situations. It's a little easier to stay consistent in your form when stepping into shots, and he isn't going to ever be a Kispert-esque spot-up guy, but his 82% free throw shooting does give reason to be optimistic that with the strong development staff, that Cooper can turn into enough of a threat that you'll have to at least close out and contest a shot. And if you have to do that as a defense, Cooper is going to slice you up and do what he does best, get into the paint. Once Cooper gets into the paint, he's either making plays or getting to the rim. We talked about how prolific Sharife is at drawing fouls, but he was a little less prolific at finishing at the rim. Cooper finished about 50% of his close twos in college, and I promise it ain't getting easier with Gobert waiting at the rim in the league. But with that said, I do think that Sharife displayed consistent flashes of good finishing with excellent touch with both hands. He isn't afraid to go right at you, and he displays a high IQ by doing little crafty things like using the rim to avoid shot blockers. He can finish off either foot, and he finds tight spaces to slither through. With that said, there's no getting around that he is tiny, and he's going to get his fair share of shots blocked. And one way to avoid the rim protectors is to keep working on the float game, which I believe is also crucial to upping his at-the-rim numbers. Cooper's floater is smooth as hell, and he can get to it whenever he wants. If Cooper trades in some of these tough at-the-rim attempts, sacrificing some free throws, and turns them into floaters, I think it could boost his at-the-rim percentages. Now, another wrinkle I love is that Sharife also uses the floater to bait help defenders into contesting the shot, leading to open drop-off passes. And he has such clean control of his speed and can so smoothly drop in those floaters when he gets out in transition. He'll always look to push the pace when he can, and he should, because again, he's more than a passer in space. He's also great at putting pressure on the rim as a scorer. And when you push the pace, you have more space and less defenders in good position to contest shots at the hoop, which will also boost his so-so efficiency. Cooper needs to become as efficient an offensive player as possible, because the defense is going to be a struggle. It isn't that Cooper doesn't give good effort, he does, but he'll get up in your space and he moves his feet well enough to stay with you out on the perimeter and beat you to the spot. He does his best to get a hand right in your face. He can even use some of his foul baiting ability to force offensive fouls on bigger ball handlers. And he's not afraid of earning some hustle points by diving on the floor for loose balls. The issue is that it is much more difficult to ignore his size on this side of the ball. For as well as he could stay with a ball handler, he's still easy to rise up and just shoot over. Professional scorer Cam Thomas had no problem going right at Sharife and wasn't remotely fazed by the pressure. Cooper's lack of length really just hampers his ability to effectively bother shooters on shot contests. The NBA is a screen-heavy league. How is he going to be able to guard ball screens? Is his lack of size going to prevent him from getting around Rudy Gobert, Joel Embiid, Domantas Sabonis, or Nikola Jokic? How is he going to handle getting switched on to Paul George or Jason Tatum? But we've seen plenty of teams, especially in the regular season, figure out how to hide defenders off ball. And team defense is what Sharife is gonna need to master in order to find minutes early on in his career. It's gonna come down to positioning and mastering team principles. Can he funnel ball handlers into the help? Can he push his man to the sideline? Can he run around and chase shooters? Can he tag the roll man? Can he figure out where to rotate to without hesitation? These are the concerns that Cooper's gonna have to prove he can overcome at the next level. Look, there's no questioning Sharife Cooper's talent, and I'm buying Sharife's stock. The defense is a concern, but the NBA is a league geared toward gaudy offensive numbers. Despite the lack of a jumper, the kid has consistently put up big stats and made players better. He's a wizard with the ball in his hands, and his passing game was made for the modern NBA. We've seen questionable shooters come into the NBA and become respectable enough that they force defenders to cover them. And all Sharife needs to do is become respectable. But if he ever becomes more than that, you're looking at an all-star level talent.